More about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Staples Print and Marketing Services gives your candidate or business a kickstart with custom color marketing materials. Save 25% when you order 2 or more signs, posters, or banners. Ends 2/29/20. Must order 2 or more of the same item for discount. See store staples.com/print25.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
7:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Jim Talamonte.
Eastbound I-80 traffic is now just a little bit heavy. Harlem to past Ridgeland. There was an earlier crash there. 8094 westbound traffic is tight. Climb to Indianapolis Boulevard. Delays on the northbound tri-state. The 83rd Street toll to 75th Street. From the Stevenson to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. The 8 ends is running 19 minutes like to Montrose. Kennedy in Ventilation to Canfield, 36 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 20 from Montrose, 15 in the Express. Eisenhower, 42 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson, looking at a 46-minute trip, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishopport, both 21 minutes from I-80 to the merge. That's traffic. I'm Jim Calamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Cloudy for today and tonight. High today 35, low tonight 24. Snow showers tomorrow morning, otherwise clouds, high 35. Some snow beginning late morning on Sunday, little or no accumulation, the high 36. I'm Steve Williams, I am 560, The Answer.
26 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. President Trump at his White House confab yesterday, acknowledging those who helped him to fight off the House Democrats and the Senate Democrats,
get
for
him
that
through
matter.
the hard times, man.
Celebrating his acquittal and celebrating the best headline he's ever received from the Washington Post.
I've done things wrong in my life, I will admit. Not purposely, but I've done things wrong. But this is what the end result is.
He's waving the newspaper.
Acquitted, right, the headline.
You could take that home, honey. Maybe we'll frame it.
Sure. Look good on the mantle. But then on a more serious note, later on when he addressed the process that he was put through, he addressed how unfair it was, but also how serious it was. I mean, did he get into the business of specifically talking about the dangerous precedent that has been set, but it certainly was implying as much.
We're giving them money, and, you know, you're always torn about that because we have our country to build, we have our cities to build, and our roads to fix. But we're giving them money. Tell me, why isn't Germany paying money? Why isn't France? Why isn't United Kingdom paying money? Why aren't they paying money? Why are we paying the money? Is that a correct statement, Mike? I say, find out what the hell's going on. And I told that to all of my people, OMB. I said, I asked that question. How much is Germany paying? Why isn't Germany paying? Why is the United States always the sucker? Because we're a bunch of suckers. But that's turning around fast. But it makes it harder when stuff like this happens, because you want to focus, and you want to focus perfectly. Think what we could have done if the same energy was put into infrastructure, prescription drug prices. Think of what we could have done. And I'm now talking both sides. Think of what we could have done if we had the same genius, because it's genius. I will say, it's genius on the other side. Maybe even more so, because they took nothing and brought me to a final vote of impeachment. That's a very ugly word to me. It's a very dark word, very ugly. They took nothing. They took a phone call that was a totally appropriate call. I call it a perfect call because it was. And they brought me to the final stages of impeachment. But now we have that gorgeous word. I never thought a word would sound so good. It's called total acquittal. Total acquittal.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by John Fund, columnist for National Review. John, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Pleasure.
So President Trump was, I would argue, very good on script during his State of the Union address on Tuesday night. And he was pretty good yesterday off script at the White House as he was recognizing all of his allies who helped him in this fight and celebrating the outcome as much as you can celebrate something like that. But making some salient points that have currency beyond impeachment, talking about the fairness of the process, talking about the opportunity cost paid for this charade that the country was put through.
Well, certainly impeachment was an overreaction, and certainly it was conducted in a completely high-handed, unfair, and frankly sloppy fashion. However, I wish the president had made at least some effort to understand why. Look, Republicans like Lamar Alexander, Susan Collins, Ben Sasse, a whole bunch of Republicans, had to say the truth, which is that phone call wasn't perfect. That phone call was a mistake. That phone call should not have been made by the President of the United States, and it certainly didn't rise to the level of impeachment. But, it just defies, common sense for the President of the United States to go around, basically recruiting foreign governments to act as intelligence operations against his political opponents. I think Joe Biden should be investigated. I just don't think the President of the United States should be the instigator of it.
Well, those Republicans who mentioned that, it wasn't a perfect phone call. Do you think he's going to be seeking any kind of revenge for those for those who said that he did something wrong?
He needs their votes. If he's smart, he doesn't. Mitt Romney's in a separate category. I think Mitt Romney is gone as far as listening to the president's blandishments or arguments. But the president is going to need those votes. If he's reelected, he's going to need them even more because the Republican majority of the Senate may narrow. And I think that, Washington, one of the good things about Washington is no matter how angry the rhetoric, ultimately people have to go to work the next day.
Yeah, I mean,
work with each other.
Yeah, and so interests, it's about aligning interests. It's not about everybody being besties, which is something that is often lost in the conversation. People act in furtherance of their self-interest, including in politics. So, the idea that you'll never talk to somebody again because there was a crossword or because there was a competition for a particular seat or a disagreement over a decision. That's always been overstated by this sort of know-nothings in the D.C. press corps. I wanted to get your reaction to what Marie Yovanovitch wrote, former ambassador there in Ukraine, op-ed in the New York Times. The Washington Post. We did this talking about those who called out the president because it's the American way to speak up about wrongdoing. I have seen dictatorships around the world where blind obedience is the norm and truth tellers there are threatened with punishment or death. We must not allow the United States to become a country where standing up to the government is a dangerous act. That's all well and good, even though it so wildly overstates the case. But why doesn't it go in the other direction? Standing up to the government, asking about wrongdoing. And I'm not just talking about the Bidens. I'm talking about a reckoning that is still pending with admissions that have been made, like Christopher Wray admitting that there was no probable cause for the surveillance warrants on Carter Page. No reckoning at the highest levels of FBI, at CIA, in the intelligence community, maybe in Obama's cabinet. We don't know who unmasked General Flynn almost 4 years after the fact. All of this high-minded rhetoric about the need for transparency and no one being above the law, that should be going in two directions, and it doesn't seem to be.
Well, not only that, but Ambassador Yovanovitch's op-ed has shall we say, a premise. And the premise is that the State Department and its view of the world speaks for the United States of America rather than the elected president of the United States or the American people.
Yeah.
And, I do think we need a diplomatic corps. I do think we need embassies overseas. But there are servants, and too often they've decided that their view of policy has to be our master.
Peggy Noonan opined on the week that was for the Democrats, and not favorably. And again, this is someone who refers to the president as a bad man and a half-mad man, so not exactly a flack for President Trump. But she said something about Pelosi's performance at the State of the Union, which was presented by CNN and the other in-house media outlets for the Democrats as, she's unplugged. She feels like she was constrained by the impeachment process, and now she's going to tell and show the world how she really thinks. Oh, okay. She writes, does Peggy Noonan, but he didn't shake her hand. That's the chorus of the left. So what? Her great calling card is that she's the sane one. She introduced him rudely without the usual encomiums. Oh, snap. The classy lady was not classy. She forgot she has a higher responsibility than to her base, but yes, how corny, to her country, the institution, the young who are watching, and just getting a sense of how to behave in the world. This is how a great lady becomes just another hack. Now, whether you agree with Noonan's premise that Pelosi was ever a great lady, it's quite an indictment for somebody who starts there to say she became a hack.
Well, one of the problems with the Trump era is, President Trump breaks a lot of norms and a lot of traditions, and certainly acts boorishly. And the response of his resistance is to drive it even further down and to act even more callously of tradition. Look, I understand. The president may not have chosen to shake her hand, but to rip up his speech in front of a national television audience as a representative of the House of Representatives, the Speaker is supposed to speak for the entire House. The Speaker is not supposed to be a purely partisan figure. It was a new low in American politics.
Do you think she
even
should
lower
be
than anything the president has done?
Yeah, should she be censured for it, or is
Well,
that really water under the bridge at this point?
Well, she does control the House of Representatives. I don't even know if she'd allow it to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, all these sort of, it's also self-regarding, it's the appearance of holding people to account, even Matt Gaetz talking about like a House ethics investigation into her ripping. I mean, come on.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, come on.
I mean,
it's just ridiculous. It is
ripping
ridiculous.
up government. He was accusing her of ripping up government property.
Right.
Please.
I know. It's just kid. This is the thing that's funny. Whoever focuses on my quality of life issues and the quality of life issues of all the other nobodies in this country wins. I don't understand why some people, including on the Republican side, don't understand that. The theatrics. I mean, that's just feeding a very narrow base.
Look, Anthony Scaramucci said he once had a conversation with the president in the White House in which, he's just agog. The president is always on stage. And he turned to the president at his desk and said, Donald, are you just a total act? And Trump looks at him and says, yes. And the most astonishing thing about being in this job is that nobody gets it.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean,
So the point is,
I don't know if I take Scaramucci at face value, but yeah.
I think it said something. Trump is always on stage. He's always performing. And the extent to which you react to him and take him completely seriously diminishes you and distracts you from real business.
But also, too, I mean, also there's the sort of common sense realism of the American people. A lot of them, at least, which is, I don't know, how are things going for me? That's what I really care about. All the antics and the political bloviations back and forth, that has nothing to do with my life. And so this Gallup survey is very interesting. 59% of Americans say they're better off than they were a year ago. 74% say they expect to be better off a year from now than they are today. That's a pretty good environment for a president seeking re-election when people are saying, how am I doing under this guy?
Sure, and I think that's what the American people care the most about. Having said that, there are things that we do have to worry about because we are a constitutional republic, and we do have to respect, lines of authority between the branches. So I think there are some things that we do have to care about. But ultimately, a president is judged by job performance. And right now, I mean, despite the ridiculous impeachment efforts, the president's popularity is at an all-time high. And I think one of the reasons Nancy Pelosi tore those pages up was not just anger, but frustration because she realized she's been beaten.
Yeah. Well, where do we go from here, though? Jerry Nadler was saying that he's going to subpoena John Bolton. Senator Johnson and another Senator Grassley, they're getting records from the Secret Service about Hunter Biden. I mean, is this ever going to end?
Well, Hunter Biden is only an issue because of his father's campaign, which is about to end. So that part's going to go away. I think that we've always told every 4 years this is going to be the worst, the dirtiest, the ugliest presidential campaign in American history. Mm-hmm. And, of course, everyone says that. Well, guess what? This year it's actually going to be true.
Okay. All right. So,
well, who is the Democratic nominee? Who do you think it's going to be?
It's going to be someone who President Trump will label a socialist.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Well, that's the entire field, of course. What about? I know the all hands on deck effort to stop Bernie from Obama and Clinton worlds. How do you think that's going? And is there any way they default to Mayor Pete as opposed to Bloomberg?
Look, anything is possible in this race, including the fact they may even find some people who could count ballots. But I do believe that you can stop Bernie, but the price may be so high that enough of his voters stay home in November or vote third party that the Democratic Party is in danger of angering part of its base by being so heavy-handed as they were in 2016 when they basically cheated Bernie out of a whole bunch of primaries.
He is John Fund. He's a columnist for National Review. Check out his most recent piece. Pelosi's SOTU tantrum was also an acknowledgement of defeat. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My name is Melissa, and I bought my first home with Townstone Financial. The owners of the house I bought wanted to close in a very short amount of time. I believe it was 3 weeks. And I was fortunate to have Barry at Townstone did everything for me. And Barry at Townstone explained everything to me, did everything, and then would show me the papers, and I signed them. And that was that. It was the easiest part about closing on the house for me.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.